My name is Guillaume de Fondaumière. I'm the co-CEO of Quantic Dream and the executive producer on Beyond Two Souls.
So did working with Ellen Page and William Dafoe cause design changes in the original characters? And could you elaborate on that?
In fact, when David Cage starts writing the script, he always has known actors in mind. And so he has his desk and he has the pictures of different actors on the wall. And it so happens that for Jodie Holmes, the lead character of Beyond, he had Ellen Page on the wall since day one. And the same for the character of Professor Dawkins, who's a very important character in the game. He had William Dafoe on it. And actually, since many years with David, we were thinking that it would be fantastic to woo Hollywood actors to the kinds of experiences that we were creating and to ask them to participate. And when it was the time for us to cast for Beyond, we decided to contact them and see what they would think about taking the roles that David had started to write the story for. Luckily, they said yes, and so he didn't have to make much changes because he, from the ground up, had designed the game with them in mind.
I like being around interesting people that are really innovators and are passionate about what they're doing. And I had that sense in how they approached me and what I saw in the design and how they were talking about how they wanted to shoot.
It was strange because it felt so foreign to me, because it sort of felt like jumping off a cliff a little bit. Maybe that's just what I did. I just sort of jumped, I guess.
It was exciting. It was exciting in the sense that it was unusual for me. Everything was so unusual.
I'm a true gamer. When I got the call and I was gonna meet David, I was beside myself.
When a project is someone's baby and they've put so much time and so much heart into it, you really see it. And this is such a developed story, and this is gonna make you feel and have emotion and go through a journey. So it's something I really want to get into.
I think that's the other thing that's so exciting about this game is this female protagonist. Not a female protagonist who's like, sorry guys, like has like big boobs and a tank top, and is like running around with a gun. And I feel grateful that I can be involved with playing this female protagonist in this video game.
So in a title where there's so much cinematic content, did you struggle with the concept of players interacting with the game world?
Since many years now, we've decided that we wanted to create narrative experiences that would be interactive. So creating basically a new language, a new drama, to give players the possibility through their actions to change the way the story unfolds and ultimately ends. And so it is relatively complex, but we believe we became specialists in this. There is some struggling because it is, as I said, not easy. But we came up with solution. We came up with a real technique that David Cage today is really mastering to be able to create meaningful, consistent narratives that are interactive.
QuickTime events have been removed from action sequences and replaced with a bullet time gesture system using the right analog stick. When the action slows down and changes to grayscale for a split second, the player will need to analyze quickly what's on screen and push the right analog stick in the direction of Jodie's movement to finish her action. For example, if Jodie initiates a punch to the left on screen, when the slowdown occurs, you need to hit left on the right analog stick to have her punch her opponent. Success or failure and how the story evolves based on that outcome will be dependent on the gamer's accurate reflexes and ability to analyze the situation quickly.
Can you tell us a little about the duo mode that you just revealed in your presentation and Beyond Touch as well?
When Heavy Rain was released, we were quite impressed by how many people came to us and told us that they had shared the experience with someone close to them. A boyfriend, a girlfriend, a wife. And so we thought, how can we possibly create a way for two people to play together? So for instance, a couple at home. How can we enable them to share the experience? And so we started to, and we had those two characters, Jodie Holmes on one hand, ID on the other, and the possibility to switch pretty much at any time between the two characters. And so we thought quite naturally to introduce the dual mode. So basically the possibility for the player, for two players to play together, one embodying Jodie, the other one ID. One thing that also impressed us when people were telling us about their experience on Heavy Rain and the fact that a lot of them played as a couple was that one person sometimes in the couple wasn't a gamer. And so most of the time, how did the two players play together? It was the gamer in the household that was holding the controller, and the other, the partner, who's not a gamer, just giving advice. Do this, do that, don't answer that. And so we're trying to find a way to enable non-gamers to share in the experience, and not only to give directions, but really truly interact. And this is when we had the idea to create an app on a device that most non-gamers have at home, know how to use, and quite naturally we came up with the idea of creating an app with a touch device, an iPhone, an iPad, an Android phone, and so we started to develop it, and so we launched Beyond Touch. And so today you can enjoy Beyond as a couple at home, one holding, for instance, a DualShock controller, which is, in our mind, the best controller to play the game when you're a gamer, and the other one, for instance, using a touch device, if you're not a gamer and if you don't know how to control a game with a DualShock controller.
Can you play the single player with just a touch device?
You can play either way, either alone using a DualShock controller or a touch device, or mixing two devices, or playing as two players with two touch devices or two DualShock controllers. You can really mix up the way you want.
So from the media we've seen thus far, it seems there's a lot of attention to even the smallest details in the game world. Why do you feel this is so important for Beyond Two Souls?
We're trying to create experiences that are emotional and that are realistic, because we want to immerse the player as much as possible into the story. When you want to create this level of immersion, you need to look at every single detail. You need to make sure that whenever the player is going into the story, nothing is going to put him out of it. And that includes the interface. And this is why we're trying as much as possible to erase the interface, to make him just plunge into the world and stay there.
It took about a year to write Beyond. It was really challenging a collaboration because David is really passionate about writing and he always wants to push the envelope.
You know, the concept is huge and there's, you know, incredible action sequences and locations all over the world, but there's also this like beautiful drama within it.
One of the challenges of doing this is because the player participates in the scenario, the possibilities of where the story goes is fantastic.
We ended up with 2,000 pages document and we realized we had a very big project in our hands that would be very challenging to produce.
So Beyond Two Souls is going to release exclusively on PlayStation 3 on October 9th, 2013.
Tell them to leave me the fuck alone, because next time, I'll kill everyone.